Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Puckn Pod. My name is Joe.
My name is Brandon.
I'm Paul.
Gentlemen, it's going to be another fun one. We've got a lot of sports to catch up on. Some disappointing news of past. Team Canada, not so lucky this time around in the Olympics. What do you guys say we get started on the Olympic talk?
What a difference a week makes. We were here a week ago excited because I think the quarterfinal, was it the quarters that morning?
Yeah, I think so, or semi,
Against
maybe.
Czechia.
Was it Czech? Yeah, and then they were, yeah, that's right, because then the following morning we were waiting for them to play Finland.
That's right.
That's right. And then, yeah, ultimately the gold medal game on Sunday if they made it that far. And, well, they got through Finland, let's just say that. Oh, man, what do you think, man? Our neighbors to the south, they got us this time.
Yeah. Obviously, Canada never wants to lose to the U.S., but it's just one of those things. Can't win them all as much as you want to stick it to Trump, and he'd probably take credit for the Americans winning both games. It was close games, right? They both went to overtime for the men's and the women's, and it really could have gone either way. I thought, the U.S. women's were dominant in that game, and then looking at the men's game, I actually thought Canadian men were dominant in that game, and
They were.
It just didn't work out.
Yeah, I don't think anybody can question that. And if you do, then you really didn't watch the game, I don't think.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the missed opportunities that Canada had were crazy. They missed 2 breakaways.
Yep.
Hold on, let me rephrase that. Hellebuck stopped 2 breakaways. Hellebuck played unbelievably. He had to. But I mean, 2 breakaways, missed opportunity on Canada.
2 gimme goals, pretty much, that he made saves on. Well, one that he made save on him. The other one.
The other one was a complete whiff. Nathan McKinnon's probably still not sleeping.
Probably.
The 5-on-3, like, there's so many instances in that game that Canada could have really pushed the pedal down, and they failed to do so, and the Americans are just too talented.
Yeah.
We can sit here and argue all day long about 3-on-3, and I think we all agree that it's probably not the best way to end any tournament.
Ooh.
Never mind, gold medal game kind of thing, and we experience the same thing in the women's game. These players battle hard all tournament, all game, and it goes to a 3-on-3. I don't like that. That's not going to change the outcome necessarily in this situation. Like, I'm not complaining that Canada lost. What I'm complaining about is I don't like the way that the playoff structure works and how that's, like, just let them battle.
Mm-hmm.
And the Americans very well could have won. But the way the game was going and the dominance that Canada kind of had, and the fact that even towards the end of that third period, the Americans were on a power play and they couldn't convert. So, Canada stopped them there too. And it's just, it's a little frustrating that it kind of goes to a video game ending.
Yeah.
Like, that's the part that kind of bothers me, is that I would have sat there and watched them play another 6 periods. It wouldn't have mattered to me, win or lose. It's exciting, at least. To me, it's like a real win or a real loss. And again, I don't want to take anything away from the Americans because they were in the gold medal game for a reason too.
Yeah.
But I just don't like the 3-on-3. I just don't.
Yeah, it felt to me like the most frustrating part, and this is the reason why we Canadians sit back and go, we don't want the Americans to win. It's probably one of the reasons why we were hoping that the Americans would lose to some other team. But then you hear all these analysts go out and say things like, well, this is what we want. We want to play against the Americans. We want to win against the Americans. Yeah, but then we forget about the part of when we lose against the Americans. And there is a sense of arrogance that comes from them that we find frustrating. And I'm sure they look at losing against Canada the same exact way, where we are the hockey gods. We are the people that we invented hockey. It's our sport, blah, blah, blah. So they think, we don't want to lose to Canada. We want to win against Canada because it's the best, right? The thing that I find the most frustrating as a fan is the addition of, like, politics in the sport.
Yep.
There is this incessant need in the United States to involve the president or involve the White House when you win a championship or when you win a sport. And then if, a team, like Team USA hockey decides, yeah, we're going to go to the White House and we're going to go and explore and get to experience something we've never experienced before. Then all of a sudden, people who don't support the current regime of presidency are angry at them for making that decision. I'm sure that there's more to that decision that we as a general audience don't know. But I find the most annoying part of of that whole process that we have to include the president somehow when it comes to winning a trophy or winning a medal or whatever. I have reasons to not support some players because they maybe support the current president that I don't support. I'm not an American, so I have no stand in the matter, so to speak, but I have my opinions. But at the same time, it doesn't change my opinion of them as a hockey player. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So it just annoys me that we have to sit here and let the decision to go and experience something they've never experienced before because they won a championship. It annoys me that has to be a part of it. Like, maybe invite them to the White House in the off season when they don't have the press surrounded them all the time and things like that. I don't know if there is a proper solution to this quote unquote issue, but it just seems so frustrating to now look at a player like Quinn Hughes, for example, that I obviously love and cherish, but now I have to look at him like, oh, what a jerk, or supporting this terrible person, right? It's just, for me, that's very frustrating.
It's the optics, because then it becomes the whole story.
That's right.
The entire story of their gold medal was them, going to see Dozy Donnie.
And then you add the other aspect of it, of the women's hockey team and the sort of insult that they threw at them, as if it's like, well, we're gonna have to invite the women too. Like, just so you know, I know you don't.
We know it's a men's game, but
yeah, it's like such a lazy, dumb statement that they. I know that the men's hockey team respect the women's hockey team. I know that, but for them to laugh along to that joke just goes to show the problem when you involve politics in this scenario. It's like we're all bending at the knee for this man.
I was gonna say that man has a chokehold on the globe. Including
really
these players.
Down. And it's so sad.
For all we know, Joe, 75% of those guys hate him.
Yeah.
But what are they going to do? They're on speakerphone after a championship. The FBI director flew in on a private jet to drink 1 million beers with them, because that's totally kosher.
Yeah.
I don't get it. And I wouldn't even say that that the American team is including the president. I'm pretty sure the president's just including himself.
That's what I was going to say.
The arrogance,
That's right.
The arrogance of that man and the hubris of that man. Like, he takes credit for everything. Oh, I stopped the wars. I building the wall. I'm making America great again.
I won the gold medal.
Yeah.
Did you see the AI video he put out? Apparently, him on the ice taking out Team Canada. It's really bad.
I saw that one.
First of all, it's really bad AI. Like, it's really bad. Not at all looking. It doesn't look real at all. But obviously, right? But it's just so funny. Like, he's so self-centered that it's like, it's baffling.
It's the first time they've won anything in 46 years.
Yeah.
Like, maybe you guys should get off your high horse here and maybe just embrace the win and gracefully enjoy it.
It's a big deal. It is a big deal. And I think, we can't let that kind of go by the wayside. But at the same time, when you include this controversial person as if there's nothing to be like they've gone on record and been like, I don't know what everyone is so upset about. Like, what are you talking about? There's a clear reason why everyone's so upset. This is a terrible person who has done terrible things, and it's on record. Like,
and we're a Canadian podcast, so you guys, any Americans that are possibly watching this, you have to understand how that's affected our nation too, having to deal with this man they're talking about. Yeah. It just
so my point of this whole thing, and I don't want to sit here and talk about politics forever, but my opinion of this whole thing is just it's so frustrating that it has to include the president, and now all of a sudden the taste in our mouth has gone sour, not only because of the fact that we lost to the Americans, but because they're throwing Trump into that pile.
Yeah.
So it's now his victory too. which makes it really frustrating. And I'm sure there's a lot of Americans who are frustrated by that too.
There is. I know there is. Yeah. And I tell you, I was pretty upset yesterday morning when I saw there was a report that Austin Matthews might not make it back to the team to play that night. A couple of things about that. I absolutely 100% stand behind the fact that he gets the opportunity to celebrate and enjoy with his team. It's something that he's never had an opportunity to do before, is win something big like that.
Yeah. Not only that, but he was the captain.
He's the captain of that team. He went to the White House. I actually don't have too much of a problem with them going there as far as the schedule goes. But get your ass down to Florida to play the night after.
Yep.
And he did, which I was super happy about, because at the end of the day, you're getting paid nothing to play in the Olympics. This team has committed millions, hundreds of millions of dollars to you. Mm-hmm. You're the captain of that team. It is a Canadian team. It is the biggest team on the planet when it comes to hockey. Get your ass down there and represent. And he did, thankfully, because the reports were that he may not play. And that really pissed me off.
Yeah.
That really made me mad.
Yeah. Selfish, right?
That's right. And it would go the same for any of the players, 100%. Any of the American players. Get your ass back to your team. That's, do your celebration. And if it meant that now, let me say this. If he missed a game to go to the White House, not okay.
Not okay.
Not okay at all. Go on the weekend. Go on, like you say, after the season. No problem. But thankfully, that didn't happen.
I agree. And, there's a lot. This is purely speculative because I don't know this to be true. But from what I've heard, there was a statement. Actually, no. I have been confirmed that it's true, because when Trump had made the phone call to the team in the locker room, there was a statement that it was Brady Tkachuk had said when Trump had said some comment about beating Team Canada, he yelled, "Close the border."
Yeah.
That statement is kind of insulting to the fact that this is a player on a Canadian team, captain on a Canadian team. Again, not unlike Tkachuk behavior when you consider Matthew, what he did to Calgary. It's no different. They don't want to play in Canada. I don't think Brady will end his career in a Canadian team.
I doubt he'll sign another contract with the Ottawa Senators.
Yeah.
But to be fair, did the Senators want him back after what's happened? I don't know. That's a tough one. That is a tough one. It's frustrating as a hockey fan to see that kind of unprofessionalism. I mean, celebrate. You deserve it. You won the ultimate prize in a tournament you haven't been able to play in a very long time. But win with some respect and pride. Be a professional.
Yeah.
I think that's the unfortunately that's the biggest takeaway that we've experienced so far from this Olympics. I mean, some of the other events that they had in the Olympics were really great to watch. Probably my favorite, aside from hockey, was some of the sledding events. Just watching the bobsled, which was one of the last events they did. Charlie, my son, was like asking me every day, when are they going to do bobsled? He was really excited about it. So we got to watch that. We watched the skeleton. We watched the luge, all of that stuff. There were some really, really awesome events. I don't believe there was any new events this year, right?
I don't think so.
I know.
Yeah.
No.
Is there an event that you guys watched that maybe stuck out to you other than hockey? Maybe curling?
I felt bad for the one Canadian guy that did the ski cross. He qualified to make the final match round, and apparently, I guess during one of his turns, he tapped.
Yeah,
literally tapped the ski of somebody and got disqualified.
Oh,
and he got super pissed about it.
Yeah.
Speed skating was a fun thing to watch as well.
Yeah. I watched a bit of speed skating. I did watch some curling. Mm-hmm. I actually am frustrated with myself that I didn't have time to watch more of the Winter Olympics, because I do actually really enjoy them.
Yeah.
I just, life gets in the way, job, home. It's just, that's what it is. You don't always have the time that you want to dedicate to it. But I would say, curling probably was the one I watched the most other than the hockey. I missed out on, I do like some of the downhill skiing, like the the moguls and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not too into the half pipe stuff. And the speed skating, again, I did watch some, but like figure skating's not really my thing. So I wish I'd watched more. I didn't, but yeah, I would say probably curling. If anything, I watched a bit more.
Yeah. Curling was popular this year.
Yeah,
I felt like even across the United States, they were talking a lot about curling and stuff. There's some really great events that were to be watched.
Yeah,
I think overall, I would say it was a successful Olympics. I mean, overall, just watching, especially for like Team Italy, being that it was in Italy, you would hope that they would have done well this year. But it felt like they presented themselves well, and they did well in a lot of different competitions. Yeah. I think Canada usually does well in those downhill events, especially the big air ones. I think we won a couple medals in those events, so that was pretty cool. But yeah, speed skating was probably the biggest surprise, I think, because there was I believe it was the Norwegian team in speed skating. I believe it's Jake Paul, who, by the way, the Paul brothers, no thanks. Anyway,
no guy.
No guy. Jake Paul, I think it's either Jake Paul or Logan, whatever one, but their wife or girlfriend is a speed skater. In Norway.
Julia Lutterdam or it's something like that.
Yeah. But the Norwegians apparently are just incredible at speed skating.
She's been in a couple of Olympics now and done quite well medals, from what I understand. Yeah.
So it's always a fun event. We've got the break now between now and then. I think it's next week. Not this weekend, but the following, something like that, where the Paralympics begin.
Oh, okay, cool.
And Charlie and I are talking about watching that together as well. So
I'll check out some of that for sure. Yep.
Now, this before we move on, I just wanted to mention one thing. This Friday, tomorrow, as we record, is my son's birthday, Charlie's birthday. He's going to be 8 years old. So I want to wish Charlie a happy birthday. When you watch this on TV, you will have already been 8 years old for a few days, and you'll already know what you're getting for your birthday, which I'm taking him to a Canucks game.
Oh, nice.
We're going to go to the game next week. So it's going to be his first experience with NHL hockey, and I'm hoping that it's very similar to yesterday's game, where it's sort of an even game that goes to overtime, and then maybe they lose in overtime. If they have to lose, I'd rather they lose at that point.
Yeah.
Or it's a close game that they lose at the end kind of thing. I would love that. I would love I just want them to get a goal at least so Charlie can experience a home goal, in the arena. So yeah, looking forward to that. And it's a pretty exciting gift for him. So
happy birthday, Charlie.
Birthday.
8 years old.
Yeah.
I know. Where did the time go? But yeah, so we're really looking forward to that. Do you guys have anything else you'd like to talk about with the Olympics?
I was just going to say Canada's final medal count was 21.
21.
They had 5 gold, 7 silver, 9 bronze.
I believe, if I remember correctly, in 2010, when it was in Vancouver, they had a much higher count. It was something like in the 30s.
I think
they
it
had
was
the most golds.
33 or something, yeah. Yep.
So that was a really fun Olympics. And I think I would love to see the Olympics in Canada again. I really would. I know it's a very costly thing, and a lot of cities can't handle that kind of pressure. I mean, I know Montreal or Calgary, was it Calgary in 88, where they were paying for it for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
They might even still be paying for it. I don't know.
Who knows?
Yeah. What about you, Paul? Anything else to add about the Olympics?
Not much. It was, I didn't get to see a ton of it myself. The hockey parts were exciting, the games I did get to see. And, I'll give kudos to both Hillary Knight and Megan Keller being veterans to help the U.S. pull that win for them on the women's side. That
was also a good game. It was a really good game.
Yeah.
When you consider what could have happened, based on their first meeting, Canada really held their own and had a really good chance to win that medal too. So, there's nothing wrong with winning a silver. It's just, in hockey where it's your sport, the sport that you should win, it's a tough a tough pill to swallow, I think, when it comes down to it. But, overall, I thought it was a pretty successful Olympics. It was fun. Like I said before, before the Olympics started, I told you guys that it's not something I gear myself up for. I never usually get too excited. But then when it happens, I do watch and I do, check out the events and stuff like that. There's usually something that I enjoy from it. And I enjoyed a lot of the events this year. It was a lot of fun. What is next on the agenda, Brando?
Well, would you guys want to keep it hockey and talk a bit about trade deadline, or do you want to switch it up a bit and move to baseball? I think,
honestly, trade deadline is probably the best way to go next because there's so much happening right now.
Yeah, it's this is we're at the stage now because we're just over a week out. Which, by the way, next week we are going to be doing a live broadcast for the trade deadline. We did it last year. We had a lot of fun. We said halfway through that day, we were like, we got to do this again next year. Like it was a blast. We had a lot of fun.
I love it because I don't have to edit anything.
Yeah, there you go. We have to be a lot more careful what we say, though. Teams are they're at that stage now where they're starting to keep players out of their lineups in preparation for whatever could happen in the next week. So that's kind of exciting as teams announce that, because you never saw that before, right?
Yeah.
I'd say that's probably within the last 3 or 4 years teams started doing that. People would play in all the way up to the deadline and still get traded, and they didn't have to worry about injuries too much. But the game has evolved. Yep. Right? It's the fastest it's ever been. It's the, maybe not the most physical it's ever been, but the technology and the skates, the sticks, the equipment, everything is basically at the highest level it's ever been. So, injuries, we've seen the injury bug throughout the NHL this year, especially on our two teams.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So, I can see why teams are doing it, and it gives you an indication of pretty much those players are going to be guaranteed to go somewhere.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, like you said, there's already players being pulled out. Tyler Myers, obviously on the Canucks, is being held out right now because I guess
I'm just checking Twitter to make sure he hasn't been traded while we're talking.
Apparently, he's a trade chip, right? So
what's happening? The reason why it's kind of a big deal, though, is because people didn't expect Tyler Myers to be even an option. There was a lot of talk from the management group that those defensive veterans were not people they were looking at moving. Specifically, it sounded like there was going to be just forwards.
Right.
I lost my mic. There we go. But it sounds like there has been an offer made to Vancouver from a team about Tyler Myers, and the reason why they held him out of the lineup is because he holds all the cards. He's got a no move clause.
Right.
And so it's just basically a matter of him saying, yeah, okay, let's do it. He's probably it's probably going to happen. Really, what it sounds like is that he's kind of getting his stuff in order with his family. He's got little kids and stuff like that. So it sounds like he will be traded. It's just a matter of when and to whom. It sounds like Detroit is one of the teams. There's supposed to be a couple of teams interested. From what I'm reading, it's Detroit and Dallas specifically.
There is, I guess, some talk about Tampa or Carolina too being in the mix.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if he went back to Buffalo?
Anything's possible, but I doubt it. Really, what it sounds like is, again, he would only be weighing the options if there are things that benefit him to going. For example, Dallas being such a high quality team, definitely a playoff team. There's no question about it. Detroit, Detroit's a good team. There's no question, but I think I can see him saying Dallas because he's also a Texas. He was born in Texas. His mother's from Texas, so there is aspects of going to Dallas that would benefit him, I think.
Right.
So there's definitely a lot of things that he's weighing. It's a matter of who he goes to and when.
What's his salary at?
3.
Okay, that's manageable.
He's got a very manageable salary, and he's got another year after this. Too,
that's right. Yeah,
so he's not a rental.
The reason I find this interesting that you mentioned the Detroit Red Wings, because the Red Wings have had scouts at the Leafs games the last few nights, and I've heard rumors about Carlo.
Yeah,
which they're the same player.
Yeah.
Essentially, Tyler Mylers and Brandon Carlo. I think Myers probably skates a bit better than Carlo does, but other than that, they're virtually the same size. This is the same. Tyler Myers is probably a little more physical too. Carlo is nowhere near as physical as I thought he was.
It was promised.
Yeah, exactly.
Yesterday's Canucks game. The funny story. There was so many scouts at the game that they had to move the media people out of the media set, like the area that the media people go. They had to move them out to let the scouts sit there because they had so many scouts. They didn't have enough room for them.
Yeah.
So, obviously Vancouver is they've let it be known that they're looking at moving players, and I don't think it'll be a surprise if by trade deadline we hear that they've made at least 5 trades.
I think it's going to be a smart play. I really do. And I think both our teams need to do that, but I think it's incredibly important for the Vancouver Canucks.
Yeah. They haven't rebuilt since the 90s, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
One thing that I'm really, really excited about for this trade deadline over others is I think it's going to be very chaotic. There's going to be a flurry of trades. Yeah. Last year, although as much as we had a good time, it was kind of a boring day as far as the trades go. Lots of rumors swirling and stuff.
Yeah.
But this year, man, there are so many teams that haven't been in this position for a decade, or a lot of years. Teams like the Chicago Blackhawks, the Montreal Canadiens. I mean, I know people will say, "Oh, Montreal made the playoffs a couple years ago." Yeah, but one and done, right? Yeah. That's kind of it. The Columbus Blue Jackets are right there. New York Islanders, the Mammoth, the Buffalo Sabres. Like the big one for me, I would say, is probably Chicago or even Anaheim. Is there a team for you guys that you think needs to add the most? And I don't mean like the most players, but they're in the most need to add for their playoff run.
So somebody who needs to buy.
Yeah, like that's the need. Not necessarily like they need to make 4 trades, but they need to make a trade because they need to make a trade.
Get over the hump.
They've already made a trade, acquiring Sam Girard from Colorado. I'd say the Penguins, based upon Crosby and Malkin are in their final year, and they want to make that last run for them. So I say they need to do that.
Yeah.
I would agree with that for sure. Yeah.
I think it's the Blackhawks for me. One of the main reasons is they're a very young team. They're a very hungry team. They have millions and millions in cap space. They've got prospects. They've got draft picks. They've got everything that they need to go out and make a splash or two. Mm-hmm. And I think that they'd be silly not to, because they're maybe not like win now mode, but they're close, I think.
So as it is with the Blackhawks, they're, from what I can see, they're about 11 points out of a playoff spot, though.
Yeah, they are. But the West is a very weak division, and they are also only. Well, actually, they're quite far down in the Central, more than I thought.
Yeah. Like they still can make a run. They had a great start to the year, right? So it's one of those things. They still can make a run. Like, you can look at teams like the Oilers, a few years ago. You can take a look at when the Blues were last in the league and the one Stanley Cup that year. It's possible to go on a run if you make the right moves.
They're gonna have to go on a big one for sure. But
just going back to your discussion about the young teams too, like Chicago and Anaheim, for example. The benefit of being a young team is the fact that you still have a few more years to like make things happen. But actually, it's really important, I think, to get some playoff experience, right? You want these guys to be able to develop not just as a regular hockey player, but also like knowing what needs to be done in the playoffs to achieve the ultimate goal. The sooner you can figure that out, the more opportunity you have to win multiple Stanley Cups, let alone one.
Yeah.
And that's the benefit of rebuilding. Like Vancouver is doing the right thing by acknowledging that they need to get younger and rebuild. They've literally said the word, we're going to rebuild, or we are in a rebuild. By trading away somebody like Tyler Myers, while it hurts the team because he is a prolific leader on the team, it does allow younger players to take that extra step and know what needs and help figure out what needs to be done to get to that level. If we end up drafting somebody like Gavin McKenna, for example, then that's just more ability to grow as a young team. Right? I think that's a benefit for a team like Chicago or Anaheim. If they can get to the playoffs, I think that'll be a wonderful experience.
Yeah. I think that there's another team that I always forget about them because they are actually literally rated the most irrelevant sports franchise in sports, the Columbus Blue Jackets. Mm-hmm. I think it'd be huge for them to make a big ad too. Which also wanted me to make another point. I forgot I was going to say it during our Olympic talk, but I did want to give the Americans kudos for what they did with the Johnny Gaudreau thing. As well as bringing his kids out. I think that was cool. I thought that was
girl was so sweet.
Yeah,
so cute.
I think that was super important. I'm really glad that they did that because there's no question that he would have been on that team. So
yeah, I mean, Faye and I were watching that, and Faye, Faye, she's an emotional person anyway, but as soon as she saw the little kids, she couldn't stop. She was just like, I can't watch.
Yeah,
it was really sweet.
Yeah. Can't say that hockey isn't a gentleman's sport. You know that it is in regards to your fellow players, right? So
just don't bring politics into it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, nostalgia, doing stuff like that for players and just pride, right?
Is there a team on the West that you think needs to take that extra step? I can think of one already, and of course that's the Edmonton Oilers. They need to take that next step to give McDavid the opportunity to finally win something.
Narratives are changing around that guy, aren't they? Fast, rapidly.
Yeah,
he's starting to become like a punching bag, which is terrible because he's the best player in the world.
Yep.
But I mean, I think, if you be blunt about it, the guy hasn't won a thing, and he just the narrative of him not being there in big games to push his teams over the edge. I don't think it's fair.
No, I was going to say, I do think it's unfair to put all the blame on him. Like, it is a team sport. I don't think McDavid's not doing the right things.
Oh, I agree.
As a player. But at the same time, I can definitely see the argument of he's not doing what needs to be done when it needs to be done, which is score that goal that you need to score. I think the biggest problem when it comes, going back to the Olympic talk, I think the biggest problem when it comes to that game specifically against Team USA is the opportunities that were there for Canada to capitalize. For example, the empty net chance for McKinnon, which we can all sit there and go, I could have scored that goal. The pressure under him and everything, who knows? The puck, we have no idea. The puck could have been on end. It could have been literally anything that caused that to happen. But he lost sleep over that.
Oh, easily.
Yeah,
very easily.
But yeah, I think it's just going back to our NHL talk. I think Edmonton is that team that needs to take that next step and do whatever they can to try and get themselves back to the finals, to give themselves that opportunity. If Florida doesn't make the playoffs, they may have a really good chance to win the cup as long as they can get there. I think that's really what it comes to.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, the top teams in the West, though, are always going to be top teams. I mean, Colorado's come down a little bit, but not really.
They're still a really good
team. In the Mile High City, a mile above everybody else in the standings. So it's, Dallas is always going to be right there. I find myself sneakily cheering for Dallas in the playoffs and stuff out of the West for whatever reason.
I do too.
I just like the way they play. I like the makeup of their team. They've got a couple of really good players, but it's kind of throughout their entire lineup is just solid, and they've built it properly. Please, why not my team? Build properly. I was going to ask you guys, is there one or two players from each of our teams that you think would be crucial to be moved? Because I think we're all under the impression that our teams, Vancouver Canucks specifically, need to unload. We know that the Leafs need to unload, but are they going to is still the question. But are there a couple of players that stand out for you? You think that they got to go? They got to take advantage of the opportunity.
Well, there's tons of rumors about if we're looking at the Toronto Maple Leafs. There's tons of rumors about Bobby McMahon being, tons of rumors about Lawton, OEL, even Simone Benoit. I think Leafs most definitely have to start making moves. Unfortunately, they're, as much as Rogers is pushing this team to be a playoff team because they want that revenue because the Blue Jays did so good this year.
Yeah,
you got to sink down to reality, and the reality is they're seventh in their division. They are still losing games on being back from the Olympics right now. So you have to think, maybe it's a heart thing, maybe it's a coaching thing, who knows what it is, but start acquiring assets. The good thing about players like Bobby McMahon and Scott Lawton likes Toronto. Bobby McMahon likes Toronto. Send them off, get some of the draft capital you've been trading away for the last few years. Get some of that back, because then that's an asset to build towards the future. Toronto's probably made a ton of revenue over the last 50 years for being one of the most highly touted and revenue-based franchises in sports history. Probably the Yankees are all on that same line. They're probably higher, but because it's baseball, but nonetheless. Shanahan did good getting this team to kind of restart 10 years ago, and it became a consistent playoff team. Do what Boston did. Do the retool, get some assets back. You might still be able to sign a guy like Scott Lawton back in the offseason because he likes the team. It's possible to do that.
I think that other than McMahon, I think they have to trade OEL. He's having a great year.
Yeah.
Like a career year.
Yeah, he's
honestly.
going to be
First rounders possibly for those three, Scott Lund, McMahon, and OEL.
Yeah.
He's going to be sought after for sure.
I have a feeling that they're going to trade a goaltender too, and I think that's one of the reasons I doubt he's playing tonight. But I think they're trying to showcase Stolarz a little bit now that he's back healthy, and he actually looked really good last night. He lost the game, and Tampa shelled him a bit, but it wasn't his fault.
No.
And that game could have been 7-0. So
start moving up pieces too, like. Ty Domi is going to be a hard, or Ty Domi.
I wish.
Is going to be a hard player to move, but he doesn't have a full no trade clause. As much as he probably believes Toronto blue and white, he's just not a fit for the type of coach that they have. He does, I think, need to be moved. I don't want him to move because he is a bit of a playoff performer, but they're struggling, and they need to really start changing that identity.
Yeah. And I mean, he has played better lately. I would say he had a horrible start to the year, and he's picked it up a bit. I mean, playing with Matthews will do that to just about anybody.
That is true.
But
imagine Artemi Panarin if he had been on that line, right?
Yeah. So. I agree with you in the Domi thing. I just can't see it happening. But I think they need to exhaust all options. They've got to do something because they're just not good enough, and the rest of the league has gotten better while they haven't. Yeah. So. It's your days of making the playoffs every year are not going to continue this year and are in jeopardy in the future if you don't restock your draft capital.
Yep, and they need to. Now,
before I move on to my team, Paul, let's talk about the Calgary Flames, which is your other team.
Yeah, there's from what I've been reading about it, there's lots of rumors for Blake Coleman and Nazem Kadri to be moved. Bit of holdups in terms of term for both of them.
Yeah, but are they the only pieces?
No, they've got UFAs on the team. I think what I read, Mackenzie Weegar is kind of a guy that's out there too. He's always been kind of a under the radar kind of defenseman. He's a really good defenseman, but because of where his position's been on teams like Florida and Calgary, he just doesn't get talked about as much.
Yeah.
But
he's a pain in the ass, that guy. Yeah. Like he's a solid player for sure.
He does his job for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, like I think with the Flames, you're definitely going to see the UFAs moved out, but I think they can really capitalize on their high value players like Weegar, Kadri, Coleman.
Makes sense. Yeah, makes sense.
It's interesting about Kadri too, though. Like he's the big rumored guy to go, and he's making $7 million, and he's only got 10 goals this year.
Yeah.
Like I know he's 35 and he's getting up there, and he's still leading the team with 39 points, but only 10 goals.
I can see Calgary trading him and retaining to get something.
They'll have to.
They'd have to.
It's going to be to a contender for sure, or a team that's trying to contend. I mean, if anything, a playoff team. But I can also see Calgary I can see Calgary kind of sneakily being the most active or one of the most active at the trade deadline. Just getting draft capital back, right? I mean, they could be inspired by what Vancouver's doing, if you think about it. By finally acknowledging the fact that changes need to be made. Calgary's one of those teams where they've needed to really buckle down and rebuild, right?
Yeah.
Do you think, from your perspective, and I know we will get into my Vancouver thoughts, but do you think that Calgary kind of jumped the gun a little bit too quickly when it came to their rebuild? Because I know they were rebuilding, but there was a moment where it felt like they were almost pushing for the playoffs instead of focusing on that.
Well, you look at last year, right? They missed it by 1 point.
Yeah.
That's my point, right?
Yeah, when you think you're that close, I guess obviously management thought so because they missed by 1 point. Then obviously they're going to try and chase it. Obviously. Exact opposite this year.
Yeah, and it becomes kind of it's a very common problem in professional sports. You start a rebuild, you start doing something, and then you start winning, and you think, oh, maybe we're done, or maybe we're going to push for something bigger instead of doing that. Yeah. And it's just a little too soon, and then next year you find out, okay, well, maybe it's not where we thought. We got to bring it down again. It just feels like that's kind of what happened with Calgary. I can't say that that's what happened, but it just feels that way. I'm hoping that it comes down to comes down to earth, so to speak, for them, so that they can make the right decisions.
I'm looking at their Puckpedia right now. They actually only have 2 UFAs. They have
really?
Ryan Lomberg. obviously fourth liner, and Jake Bean, who's injured right now. Everyone else is actually signed on for next year. So,
and they can only retain up to 3 players, right? If you make trades, you can only retain up to 3 players. So,
and I also believe it's a percentage of the cap too.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so like I said, Kadri's been talked about. He has a partial no trade clause.
13 team no trade.
Yeah. Blake Coleman's got a year after this one, same thing.
Yeah.
Got a partial no trade. You might see a guy like Michael Backlund moved, just because he is like a leader type guy. Defensively, Uyghur's probably their biggest asset there.
Yeah.
They just acquired Zach Whitecloud for Anderson, so they haven't been that great since he's been on the team. Maybe he's another guy that gets moved out again because he's got a physical edge to him, and teams like that kind of play.
I could see Lomberg being moved even for like a fourth or something.
Yeah.
There's definitely options for Calgary. I think
seems like Conroy's a little stingy though.
Oh, totally.
Like he's just like
he's always been that way.
Yeah, it just kind of.
that's kind of the point, though, right?
He shuts down trades just because I'm not trading with that team.
But I mean, that's kind of the point, though. I mean, like I said, he started this rebuild, and then they got to a point where they were 1 point out of a playoff spot, and then all of a sudden he's like, maybe we can do this, and then tried to build on that instead of actually focusing on the rebuild factor. Maybe that's what he's trying to do. So maybe we don't see anything out of him unless he's trying to buy, which would be insane.
Weird.
That's more of an off-season thing, I think, more than anything. But kind of crazy. I mean, crazier things have happened for sure. When it comes to Vancouver, I think ultimately we're going to see when you ask the question about like what players we're going to see moved. I know there's interest in a lot of different players. The Canucks have gone out and said, when all this went down, they've gone out and said, we're planning on keeping our veteran defensemen. So Tyler Myers being one of them, and of course Philip Hronek being the number one guy that they're saying we're hanging on to this guy. There's nothing, you're not going to be able to take this guy out of our hands. I think with a team like Vancouver, it's never say never. Like I think anything is possible. Hronek could be traded if you give us the right pieces.
He has a no move, doesn't he?
He does.
Yep.
So again, so does Tyler Myers, though.
That's true.
So nothing is impossible.
but having said that, those players are probably like, hey, if you can send me to a team that's in the playoffs, by all means, please.
If I have the opportunity to win a cup, like if Colorado came and said we want Hronek, I could see it happening.
It costs you a lot.
It would. For sure.
Be good for the Canucks.
Would you take a bag of pucks for Vander Kane if he
that trade will happen, and there's no doubt in my mind.
I don't even think we've really talked about him, Joe. Like, what's his impact been on the team since he came over?
It's tough, man. It's really tough to say. I'm not going to sit here and say he does everything wrong because he's, yesterday he scored a goal. It was like it was a really nice goal too. It was like right off the face-off, shoots and scores. So he does things right, but there's a lot of stuff he doesn't do, like he's not consistent. He doesn't, he is the type of player that turns it on during the playoffs, and that's what his most valued asset is. And that's why there's so much interest in him.
That's his style of game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Vancouver paid a 4th round pick for him, I think, or a 3rd round pick. It was a 4th.
I think it was a 4th. Yeah.
They paid a 4th round pick. There's talks of getting a possible 2nd round pick for him, which is insane. When you think about it, like on the face of it, it doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But when you consider his history, when you consider his history in the playoffs, that's where the sort of factor comes in. So there's no doubt in my mind he's going to get traded. There's going to be a crap load of interest in Teddy Bluger, who is he's a bottom 6 center basically, but he does everything right. And this is the part that is appealing to teams. He does everything right. He gets you the puck. He does things defensively right, and that's the most important factor. He's always in the right position, and he makes the right plays, and so it's going to be a valuable piece for anybody. The players that I think might get moved, Connor Garland might get moved. That also could be an off-season thing. He did just sign a contract with Vancouver, so. It's not going to be an easy one to make. There's a chance Brock Besser gets moved.
Wow.
And I say a chance because from what I hear, from what I'm hearing, there's teams asking him.
Why wouldn't they? Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, the player ultimately, though, that I think needs to be moved, which is the question you asked, is Elias Pettersson. I think he's the player that needs, for his sake, he needs a fresh start. And for our sake, we need a fresh start. We need to get that $11.6 million off the book. He's not doing anything right now. Doesn't mean he won't ever do anything. I mean, there's nothing in my mind that says if he goes to a new team that he will be the same player. I think there's a lot of opportunity for him to play somewhere else, especially in the playoffs, which is where you learn. He hasn't had a lot of opportunity to do anything, you know? So I think he's the one player that needs to be.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think, a good change for him. Considering they're at the bottom of the league, you probably should be looking. They said they're going to hold on to the veterans. They should be trying to at least move one or two of them.
It doesn't make a lot of sense, right?
Yeah, to hold on to them, right?
What they said in their speech or in their, I guess, press conference or whatever was that they were only focused on getting rid of their UFAs, which I think
makes no sense.
What do you've got for UFAs? You've got Eddie Bluger, I think. Derek Forbort, who's been injured all season. So he won't get traded. He's just going to end up leaving the team. Evander Kane, who definitely will be traded. And that's about it, I think.
Yeah.
Like I'm this is off memory. I'm not looking at anything on my computer, so I can't tell you, but yeah, there's no, and I mean, especially because Tyler Myers is about to be moved. He's not a UFA, so that goes to show you that they're open for business. They're ready to make the right moves to build up that draft capital, and maybe their plan is to build this team up to something in the next 2 years because we have so many picks this year. You never know. They have more picks in the first 2 rounds than they've ever had in their history. In the first 2 rounds, like 4 or 5 picks in the first round.
Oh.
Crazy.
You only missed one UFA.
Okay, who was the other one?
David Kemp.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Could garner some interest, being that he's a center. Centers are going to be hot commodities.
It's a good penalty killer, too.
Yeah. He is. Defensively, a good player. Absolutely.
Defensive-minded team like Minnesota, maybe. Player like him. No?
There's a lot of talk of Connor Garland going to Minnesota as well, as Quinn Hughes is his best friend.
Okay,
so,
yeah, that makes sense.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's what's going on with my team. It just feels like there's a lot of opportunity for a lot of moves this trade deadline, and I think Vancouver's going to be a very active team. I think Calgary will be more active than people give them credit for. But I it's hard to say, really, when it comes to Calgary or Toronto, for that matter, what their plan is, because True Living hasn't literally gone out there and said this is our plan.
There's been the Leafs have done nothing.
Nothing
all year. There's been there's no trades,
and that's crazy.
First time in a long time that's been the case.
If you're not going to make the playoffs, start giving your young players like Jacob Quillen a chance to prove by the end of the year whether they should be on the team next year.
Mm-hmm. He could be a direct replacement for Bobby McMahon if they do trade him.
Absolutely.
And then the other thing before we, we probably need to move on here, but what are they doing with Easton Cowan right now?
Yeah.
He didn't play at all during the Olympic break. He didn't get sent down to the Marlies to play.
Apparently that was a mistake, though. They didn't do it. Get sent down.
Well, then someone needs to lose their job, because we're not talking about someone forgot to flip the burger at McDonald's. They just put a new one on the grill. This is the development of a 20-year-old player.
Absolutely.
And, trying to get into the rest of his career. But anyway, neither here nor there. We're not in charge.
Yeah. Not our decision.
So we do have a couple of things on the docket here to finish off the show with, but we've only got about 12 minutes.
I would say let's just go to movies.
Let's go right to our movies. So we'll get into the next topic, which was going to be Blue Jays spring training. We can get into that next week.
They're sucking right now. Don't even worry about it.
Well, I think probably we can spend a little bit longer next week talking about it too. So what we're going to discuss this week when it comes to movies, and we did last week, we did the 80s movies, our top 3 80s movies. Tonight we're going to go with the 90s because we just can't wait. And there's so many great movies, especially during that era. Like the 80s and 90s were probably, and maybe because we were kids during that time, but probably the best era for movies altogether.
90s specifically for me, I would say is mine. And again, yes, that was right in the middle of my grow up. But just, and I'm sure we'll allude to some of the movies, but I found the 90s, like, they were revolutionary for filmmaking as far as the types of movies being made, and, you know, sort of the introduction of some pretty cool special effects and just some absolute blockbuster movies, and just like plots that you don't see anymore.
Oh, everything's too sensitive nowadays.
Yeah.
The 90s really paved the way for a lot of movies, even to now, like nowadays. When you consider like the amount of remakes and stuff that we've gone through in our lives, they all stem from movies in the 90s, or a lot of them did. Yep. And so it's kind of fun to go back and kind of compare. But so are we going to do the same thing we did last week, where we do our top 3 and then we do sort of honorable mention?
Sure, I'm cool with that. I don't want to go first this time, though.
Okay. But it was your idea. All right, we'll go with Paul first then.
All right, first one for me. I remember watching this as a kid with my family, and it's actually a really, really good movie. Set back, I believe, in the 1820s. Movie called Last of the Mohicans. It had Daniel Day-Lewis in it and Madeline Stowe. Very good movie, kind of during the American Revolution, where there was a man that was brought up by a tribe known as the Mohicans. That the tribe basically got wiped out. There's only a few of them left. He was brought up on that tribe and was helping to get messages across the enemy lines to make sure that the Americans were going to win their battles. In the end, the fort that he was getting the messages sent from actually did fall to I believe it was the French that were helping the Americans at that time. Or French were helping against the British. Sorry.
During the Revolution, they were probably not in the 1820s by that time.
Yeah,
but
I remember it's the novel on the movie was based in 1896. Sorry, it was set in 1757.
And weren't the Mohicans in Canada? Weren't they Canadian?
No, they were an American tribe.
Were they?
Yep.
I don't have the answer to that one anyway, so I'm glad Paul did.
I feel like I remember asking my teacher in high school or elementary school about it, because we had been studying indigenous like history or whatever, and I swear maybe it wasn't Mohicans, but they had mentioned about that movie specifically.
Yeah.
How it had some sort of relative coincidence or something like that.
Well, the one thing that was great about that movie wasn't just the story. It was quite intense in certain spots of it, but it actually had a really good score too. Michael Mann was the director for the film. He's known to have really enticing scores to his films. And yeah, like when you get to the final battle, I guess in the movie, it's quite enveloping score to what's going on. I don't want to give anything away, but
yeah, I haven't seen that movie actually, so I might have to check that one out. Yeah, okay.
You want me to go next?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I decided for this specific topic that I would focus specifically on comedy movies.
Okay.
Because a lot of my favorite comedy movies come from the 90s. Plus, I know you guys are probably going to choose similar dramas to what I would choose. Maybe not you, Brendan, because I know there's a lot of movies you've seen that I haven't, and vice versa. But so I decided I'm going to focus on comedies. And so for my number 3, I'm going to go with Office Space. And the reason why behind it, last week I talked about 80s movies that I feel like I can watch all the time. Office Space is another one of those movies, even though it is a dated movie, because they're dealing with, these old computers from the 90s that are just like, they don't exist anymore. But it's still a fun movie that I can watch all the time. And it's funny and well written and well acted and things like that. So it's definitely one of my top movies from the 90s.
The one and only time I have ever seen that movie was in 2012, and I was living in Edmonton with Mike and Jory. And I think it was like a Sunday night. We were hungover from the Saturday evening. We had a poker game the night before or something like that. Yeah. And we were watching. They said, "You got to watch this movie." So we sat down. We had dinner, And we were watching, they were laughing so hard. And I'm just like, what is this crap? My God. Okay. I just want to punch him in the face. How's that?
I'm going to need you to come in on Saturday. Okay.
That'd be great.
Yeah. I love it. It's one of my favorite movies. And at work, I'm not allowed to have it anymore, but at work, we had, when the pandemic happened, we all had to do Zoom meetings. We still do them to this day. I had an office space background.
Nice.
That was Lumberg looking over the cubicle over my shoulder, basically. And everyone would comment and be like, that's so funny.
Yeah.
And then they told us we're not allowed to have those anymore. So it was unfortunate, but I miss it.
Number 3, The Green Mile.
Yes.
Joe's favorite actor.
Yeah, 100%.
David Morse, I really like. He's always plays, always a bridesmaid, never a bride for David Morse, but I always like him. I found that movie had such a cool plot that, like, it involves magic, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the movie's so intense and it's so well rounded with what's going on, you don't really think of it as magic.
Yeah,
kind of thing, right? It's just
like a miracle.
More like miracle than someone performing abracadabra, that kind of thing. And just Michael Clark Duncan. I mean, I liked him in Armageddon, and I haven't really seen him in literally anything else.
Rest in peace.
Yeah. And he was perfect for that role, and the supporting cast, obviously, with Barry Pepper from Campbell River.
Yeah.
And
but she hasn't been in a lot of movies recently. It's been a while since I've seen her.
Yeah. And it's gonna drive me nuts.
I think I know the guy you're talking about.
What's his name? He's a hell of a dancer.
I keep wanting to say Edward Norton.
No,
Sam.
Yes, thank you.
Rockwell.
Sam Rockwell. Yeah,
I love
another
Sam
guy
Rockwell.
that I really love too. Yeah, 100%. So anyway, Green Mile.
Yeah,
Nice.
Perfect choice.
We talked about special effects. This one was, besides Jurassic Park, was revolutionary, but this is definitely one of the more revolutionary special effects movies. Was Terminator 2: Judgment Day. Obviously, what they were able to do with the T-1000, and even just like the practical effects with the explosions and some of the stunts and stuff like that. Really, I think kind of put Arnold was already on the map, but really like T2, he had a bunch of movies that came out after T2 that everyone wanted Arnold because he was such a cool dude in Terminator 2. So Robert Patrick, that obviously made him really well known. And
I think you have to give props to James Cameron too, just for his what he's done not only for cinema but for writing too.
And that is a really well written film actually.
Agreed.
The first Terminator was iconic for the type of movie it was, but like T2 is probably the quintessential pick when you're looking at like futuristic and robots and having a storyline that actually fits with the original narrative of the first film.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I like that pick.
Yeah. So for me, going back to comedy, again, I'm sticking with comedy. I have a tough time deciding between these two, but I think I'm going to go with Kingpin.
Okay.
Yeah. So the Farrelly brothers, as anybody knows, anybody who likes comedy movies, the Farrelly brothers were like the kings of comedy in the 90s. There's something about Mary. That was the one I was deciding between, that one or Kingpin. I saw it in the theater, and I never forget just not being able to stop laughing. The whole movie was just so funny. And when I saw Kingpin, it was like double that, because my dad's a bowler, so we watched it because of the bowling aspect. My dad didn't know that it was going to be a comedy. He also likes Woody Harrelson as an actor. Just couldn't stop laughing.
Yeah.
Just such a great movie.
Yeah.
If you have never seen Kingpin, go watch it. It's so funny.
Yeah.
So funny.
I'm going to go with A Few Good Men is my second choice.
You can't handle the truth.
Yeah. Just all-star cast. I love legal thrillers. There's not too much really. I'm not going to get into plot points or anything, but there's really not too much to say other than just everybody had a role in that movie. Everybody played their role, and it was pretty incredible. Again, very well written as far as the plot goes and the intricacies. And I find that's always the case in a good legal thriller, is there's so much involved, and it keeps you thinking.
Yep.
Keeps you thinking.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to edit this podcast because we're almost at an hour, believe it or not.
Oh,
It's 59 minutes already.
let's hustle.
All right, last for me, probably John Travolta and Nicolas Cage's like quintessential movie to watch, Face Off.
Face Off.
I've watched that movie countless times, and it's got so much good action. Nicolas Cage and John Travolta switching their character types, mid film because of what the film is about, just makes it such an enjoyable film to watch. And John Woo, really like anything action oriented is definitely got his name to it.
100%. By the way, John Travolta did a way better job of switching roles than Nick Cage did.
Yes, I would agree.
Which is kind of crazy when you think about it. Nick Cage is a really good actor.
Yes.
So for him to be able to struggle when you compare it between the two, like crazy. For me, my number one comedy of the 90s, and I fought with this decision too, because I actually like the sequel more than I like this one, but I'm going to choose this one because it's the original, Ace Ventura. I liked Ace Ventura, When Nature Calls, the sequel, more than I liked the original, only because I think I was 12 when it came out, and I went to the movie theater with my friends at school. We watched it. We all laughed hysterically. But the first one was like hilarious too. And it's one of those movies that you quote all the time.
Yeah,
you think about it.
I literally quoted the movie you just said.
Yeah.
Or sorry, I quoted the sequel 2 days ago.
Yeah.
We were watching something, came up, and I was like, shish kebab, Shawshank Redemption, Chicago.
You're out. Go on.
Yeah, that's right.
And so, yeah, it's the Ace Ventura movies, those two in particular, are my favorite of the 90s. For
Mr. Holland's Opus. That
Of
is
course.
my all-time favorite movie.
Absolutely. I had no doubt in my mind you would choose that one.
It's one of those that a lot of people probably haven't seen, and you need to. It's I believe it's on Disney Plus. I should get royalties for that. But it's fantastic. It's about music, which is just kind of right up my alley. A high school music teacher, and something that he didn't even want to do, fell in love with it, and then it basically goes through his entire legacy and his career, and pretty quintessential to the 90s, if you ask me. I remember seeing that in the theaters with my granny, my mom, and my aunt. So, yeah, cool memories.
Awesome. Gentlemen, we don't have time for honorable mentions.
Nobody said Jurassic Park.
I know. I mentioned it.
Okay, quick honorable mentions. Go.
Jurassic Park.
Dragonheart Gattaca.
What?
Dragonheart and Gattaca.
Gattaca. He's choosing two.
Gotcha.
I will say Happy Gilmore.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a comedy theme.
I got to stick with comedy.
So long,
I
sucker.
think comedy when I think 90s, right?
Yeah.
So, and I just watched Happy Gilmore like not that long ago, so that's probably why. It's just fresh in my mind. But another great episode, gentlemen. Lots of stuff to talk about. That went by way too fast.
Yeah, it always does.
Yeah.
So we're going to have lots to talk about next week. We are recording an episode, and then we're doing a live stream, the next day?
Yep.
The next day.
So it's going to be fun. Make sure you tune into our live stream. If you've never checked it out before, we did one last year for trade deadline, so make sure you check it out again with us. Join us for another episode of Puckn Pod next week, and of course, the live stream as well. Once again, thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Joe.
My name is Brandon.
And I'm Paul.
We'll see you next week.